Hey guys, welcome back to the Little Craft House. Today I'm going to show you how to make these gorgeous little gnomes out of macrame, which are perfect for Christmas. So all year I save up my cord scraps so that I've got plenty to use to make these gnomes come Christmas time. So my favourite cord to use is the 5mm 3-ply. I've also got a bunch of large hole beads here. The 25mm is the one that I prefer to use. I've also got a sock. So a brand new sock, of course, and I really like this spotty one. I've also got a cone, so I can use the polystyrene cones, but I do also like to save up the internal cones of the macrame cord as well. So that's a great little recycling one there. So save those and your cords, spare cords up. I've also got some glue. This is quite a thick craft glue and that works really well. I've also got sharp scissors because they really help when they're sharp. And I've also got a comb, just for brushing out the cords afterwards. So I'm just going to pop my sock and things to the side and we can get started. So firstly, I'm going to take my piece of cord and I'm going to wrap it around the cone between halfway and 3/4 of the way up and just cut the cord there. With the cord, I probably should have made this one slightly longer, but that's all right, we'll work with what we've got. I'm just going to tie it, just normal tying knot, just to secure it around the cone. I don't want it to be too tight because I am going to move this around in just a moment. So double knot just to secure it into that position. And as you can see, there we go, it's nice and loose. Ideally, I should have cut it so that those end cords went to the bottom, but that's okay. So with the remainder of the cord, we want to cut these into pieces that are double the length of from the base of the cone to that cord that's there, because they're going to go up and loop around and come back down. So a little bit longer also helps because we've got to leave room for the knot. So I cut 15 of these cords. Now, of course, you're not limited to the colour that you're using for this project. You can use the natural like I have, you could use white, or you could even use a funky bright colour if you wanted to. And as I said before, the cord that I like to use is the 5mm 3-ply, mainly because that's what I use in my other projects, but anything where you're able to untwist. So I don't recommend a braided cord for this one. The 3-ply works really well because it untwists and you can fluff it out quite nicely. Okay, so when it comes to attaching our cords, we're going to use a really simple macrame knot. And you possibly already know this knot, even if you've never done macrame before. It's called a lark's head knot. So we're going to take our cord and fold it in half. We're going to get that loop that we've just created, pass it behind our base cord, and then push the tails through the loop. Like so, and tighten it, making sure that our cords are nice and even and not twisted. I'll show you that one again. So we fold the cord in half and then we take that top loop and pass it behind our base cord. Get the tails and pass them through that loop, pulling them down and tighten it. And just make sure that the cords are nice and even and not twisted. Can push them together and just to tighten it a little bit. You can do that as you go, otherwise we can fix it up at the end. We're going to go all the way around that base cord with these knots, always passing from behind so that our cords are nice and even. So I used 15 cords all up to go around my cone. If you're using a smaller cord, or if your knots are tighter together, or the placement of your base cord, yours will be different. So just make sure you've got extra cord to cut more if you do need it. I'm just going to squeeze in a last one here so that the knots are all nice and tightly around that original base loop. And there we go. All right, now we're going to finish off the beard by untwisting each of these cords. So my hot tip here, you need to twist it in the opposite direction to what it is currently twisted in, if that makes sense. Just winding it back the other way will make those cords separate, and then you can pull them apart like so. Try and show you close up here. Just twist in the opposite direction. And then just separate like that. And so we're going to do this all the way around our little gnome here, just to loosen up all of his beard before giving it a nice brush. So I've unwound it all the way around, and it's looking a bit messy and out of control at the moment, but we're going to just tame that up a little bit in just a second. So I've just got a normal hair comb here. Oops, sorry about my arm being in the way. And just with the comb, I'm just holding the knots at the top so that they don't come undone, and then using the comb to just frizz out the rest of the beard. If you can, there, I'm just going to hold it really awkwardly so that you guys can see what I'm doing. Yeah, just hold those knots at the top because we don't want them to come undone as you're pulling on it. You could possibly take the loop off and do it flat on the table, but I'm just going to do it this way for today. Now, some of these bits are a bit knotty because they are long and out of control. Now, it is sounding a little bit worse than it actually is. It's just because my comb is hitting the polystyrene. Much better now, a bit more controlled. Now I'm going to get my scissors. So sharp scissors are really important, and I'm just going to trim around the bottom edge here. So I'm just going to hold it up so you guys can see. Again, it's a little bit awkward. Probably better to do this flat on the table, but I am actually doing it just slightly longer than the cone, just so that it kind of sits bunching up a little bit when it is sitting flat. So I'm just going to go all the way around the edges. There's that little gap there. That's because of my cords from my original knot, because they weren't long enough. So that is going to be the back of my gnome. So that way it'll be nice and hidden. All right, there we go. And just give it another little quick comb over just to frizz it back out nice and neatly again. And now for his nose. So my beads aren't perfect beads, they are just seconds beads, so they've got a few cracks and dents in them. I'm going to grab a little piece of cord here and make that like a little moustache, and I'm going to make sure that those rough bits of the bead are at the back so you don't see them. And this glue that I've got here, this is the one that I like to use because it's quite a thick glue, so I don't have to wait too long for it to dry. It actually holds in position pretty much as soon as I pop it on. So I'm just going to separate a little bit of the cords here, not too much, but just some of them, and push that nose on there like so, and it should hold pretty quickly. There we go. And now to finish him off, we've got his hat. So that's where the sock comes in. So I'm going to bunch it up and pull it right over. And so we're going to pull it right over those knots. So we're not going to see the knots at all. Just like this. Now you don't really need glue or anything to hold this on. It well, I don't. It fits quite nicely over the top without needing any glue. There we go, like that. And then for his hat, you can get a little bit creative with it if you like. I didn't have any ribbon handy. I just had a little bit of white string. So I'm just going to tie a little knot in the end here just to make it, I don't know, just to make it a little bit cuter. If I had a bell would be really cool. I'll have to find some. There we go, just a little bow on the end. And there we go, he's all finished. So thanks for joining me today for this quick little tutorial. It's a great way to use up lots of scraps, and he is the most cutest Christmas decoration, even if I do say so myself. So thanks again for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye!